各位记者朋友
Friends from the media, good afternoon. Welcome to the press conference. Now I will take your questions. Recently, some African figures, such as former Deputy Chairperson of the African Union Commission, Erastus Mwacha, and Director of the Diplomatic Society, Curtin Buhana, noted that in a world fraught with changes and turbulence, both Africa and China face complex challenges. It is important that the two sides jointly uphold multilateralism, safeguard world peace and development, and contribute wisdom and strength to improving global governance. However, some in the West have commented that by leveraging the concerns of the Global South about the current international system, China aims to challenge the liberal world order. What is your comment? China and the African countries both advocate and work for safeguarding international peace and security and promoting global development and prosperity. China and Africa endured colonialist and imperialist suppression and invasion. We supported each other and fought together on the road of anti-colonialism and anti-imperialism, and won independence of our countries and the liberation of our nations. Therefore, we deeply cherish independence, self-determination, justice, and fairness. We agree on the 5 principles of peaceful coexistence, and we are committed to building an equal and orderly multipolar world and a universally beneficial and inclusive economic globalization. And we both aim to make international order more just and equitable. China and Africa practice true multilateralism, uphold the international system with the UN at its core, the international order underpinned by international law, and the basic norms governing international relations with the purposes and the principles of the UN Charter as the basis, and reject colonialist approaches and hegemonic moves. We firmly support each other's core interests and uphold developing countries' just position. We work to build an open world economy, tear down walls rather than erect walls, seek openness rather than exclusion, and enable developing countries to better share the benefit of globalization. We stand for bridging the gap between rich countries and the poor ones, reject all forms of neocolonialism and economic deprivation, and ask developed countries to face up to their historical responsibilities and deliver on their development commitments. We are committed to the political settlement of international and regional hotspot issues, advocate dialogue to bridge differences and cooperation to resolve disputes, and call for ceasefire of the Ukraine crisis and the Palestinian-Israeli conflict. We firmly support efforts of transcending cultural estrangement through exchanges and promoting inclusiveness and mutual learning among civilizations. We advocate that the representation and the say of developing countries, especially African countries, need to be increased in the international governance system. China is the first to support the African Union's full membership in the G20 and welcomes more African countries to join the big family of BRICS. China and Africa are the staunch force for defending the legitimate rights and interests of developing countries, upholding the purposes of the UN Charter, and advocating multilateralism and unilateralism, international fairness and justice. The two sides will take the upcoming FOCAC summit next week as an opportunity to promote unity and cooperation among developing countries to augment the strength of the Global South, jointly champion international fairness and justice, and advance peaceful development of the world. Next, please.
Phoenix TV. On August 29th, a Hong Kong court convicted Stand News and relevant persons of conspiring to publish seditious articles. The US, the UK, and European Union said the conviction was an attack on Hong Kong's media freedom. What's the ministry's comments? A handful of countries and institutions used the judicial case of the Hong Kong SAR as a pretext to vilify Hong Kong and interfere in China's affairs. China deploys and opposes it. Let me stress that Hong Kong residents' rights and freedoms granted by law, including press freedom, are fully protected. This is an undeniable fact. Meanwhile, Hong Kong is a society under the rule of law, where to abide by the law and bring lawbreakers to justice is a basic principle. Press freedom is by no means a stock excuse for illegal crimes. We firmly support Hong Kong SAR's judiciary in performing duties in accordance with law and urge relevant countries and institutions to follow the principles of international law and the basic principles of international relations, respect China's sovereignty and the rule of law in Hong Kong, and stop meddling in Hong Kong's affairs and stop interfering in China's internal affairs. Next one, please.
Good afternoon. A question.
路透社，第二个6个月的美中科技协定在周二失效，是否会续约？或者中方认为和美方在科技合作上现在已经无望？
On China-US Tech Cooperation Agreement, the two sides are in communication. I would refer you to competent authorities for specifics. Next, please. The New Zealand Business Roundtable NZBRIC in China recently published the Business Outlook Report 2024, showing that 76% of respondents have a positive view for the Chinese economy in the coming year, and 93% indicate these for the next 3 years. The report also shows that 84% of respondents say their company has increased or maintained total investments in China over the past 3 years. 88% also intended to increase or maintain China investments in the coming 3 years, and 61% anticipate increasing their China-based headcount in the next 3 years. What is your comment? We noted the report released by the New Zealand institution. The report categorized the survey in the New Zealand business community with 3 themes, namely opportunity, confidence, and cooperation, which demonstrates the opportunities brought by China's development, reflects the confidence in China's economic outlook, and highlights the aspiration for China-New Zealand cooperation. This report survey serves as another evidence that China's development is an opportunity, not a challenge to New Zealand, and that China-New Zealand economic trade cooperation is mutually beneficial in nature. China is further deepening reform across the board and advancing Chinese modernization, which will generate more opportunities for China-New Zealand cooperation. China stands ready to work with New Zealand to actively respond to the aspiration of all sectors in the two countries and deliver on the important common understandings reached by leaders of the two countries, as well as the new results of Premier Li Qiang's visit this June, carry forward the spirit of striving to be first, deepen and expand mutually beneficial cooperation, and further upgrade the comprehensive strategic partnership to deliver more benefits to the two peoples. Next one, please.
法新社，缅甸的一线媒体表示，中方要求德昂军在缅北中缅边境停止冲突。这一份根据来自于瑞丽当局的文件，请问这是否是真的，以及中缅边境的情况如何？
中方高度关注缅甸局势和缅北冲突动向。作为缅甸的最大邻国，中国始终真诚希望并积极致力于助力缅甸实现稳定和发展。中方将继续为缅甸的和平和解进程发挥建设性作用，推动缅北的局势缓和降温。下一个问题。还有其他问题吗？
Thank you. Another question from AFP.
法新社，太平洋领导人在汤加会面，来帮助台湾加入太平洋论坛，中方对此有何回应？
There is only but one China in the world. Taiwan is an inalienable part of China. The One China principle is one of the basic norms of international relations and the common understanding of the international community. Any attempt to create two Chinas or one China, one Taiwan will fail. The Taiwan authorities are trying to attend foreign. This will be only making fool of itself. Next, please.
彭博社，菲律宾的高级军事官员表示，在菲律宾的导弹系统主要是用来训练，但中方之前表示说，这一系统会使得稳定受到削弱。您对于菲方军事负责人的表态有何回应？
On the U.S. deployment of mid-range capability missile system in the Philippines, China has made clear our opposition more than once. This move by the U.S. and the Philippines incite geopolitical confrontation, escalate tensions in the region, and harm regional peace and stability. And it has caused attention from regional countries. The Philippines need to have a clear understanding of the real intention of the U.S., avoid acting as the cash-paw for the U.S. at the expense of its own security interests, and quickly pull out the missile system as publicly pledged. Next one, please. Any more questions? This is the end of the press conference. Thank you. Have a good weekend.